This is not a question, this is a comment, but I think it's 3 says control your thoughts, only allow positive images into the mind, manifest your destiny. You are the light. Always seek that of the light. You can heal yourself and your circumstances with thought alone. So true.
Exactly. Man is mind.
Ashe.
Man is mind. And this is another reason why the dark priesthood promotes confusion, schism, and fear, to keep you destabilized and to divert your consciousness, because your consciousness is being attacked and your will is being attacked. So those identifying those 2 avenues of social chess should help a lot of people.
Let's see. Where do we go to request the flash drive? I've been scrolling it across the bottom. The USB drive is the flash drive. If you just text to this number, you will get the link. We have a brand new link. Real easy. Real easy. Just text USB to that number that you see going across the screen right now, and you will get a link after the show, and you can order. It'll take you directly to the order page. Let's see if there are any more questions. Thank you. I don't know, Greg Chic. Agents in this chat. Probably. I'm American. Question. All right, here's one. What is, okay, Brother Taj, what is minimum contact concerning challenging jurisdiction of the court?
See, this is the deal. Recognize that there are no lawful courts operating on the land. That's the first thing you must remember. There are no logically, there are no constitutional courts nor constitutional officers operating on the land. Although you may see Mr. T and some other people behind him militarily that are presenting a position of republic or restoration. However, they were not assigned by us or the people. Therefore, even they are, in fact, de facto. However, due to the fact that they are standing up for those principles, it's certainly supported and lauded. However, what you have is military operations, in fact, and you have no operative, legitimate constitutional government operating at North America, nor the courts. And again, this is again why for the last 25, 30 years, when we started doing jurisdictional agreement of jurisdiction challenges and pro warranto exercises, i.e. mock court, etc., we've been promoting the restoration of the functional venue, diversity of nationality, in relationship to treaties and constitutions, etc., in order to hold these people who are pretending to be government to the obligations of the positions that they're claiming, etc. And in the process, it exposes the whole paradigm. And in the process, it makes people actually more conscious, and at the same time gives people exercises needed to start being jurisconsults, etc., which is a state of mind politically that we need to be in that state of mind operatively anyway.
Okay.
And this is also why people who have been less than honorable among our own and others have been staunch criticizers of the restoration of constitutional principles, i.e. diversity of nationality comes to the court. And even some of them saying it never existed, which they are lying. And I suggest many of you read Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution for the United States, coming from Muslim law, as Obama talked about, and the enforcement of treaty law. Because that is the venue that has been neglected when you're talking about legitimate courts. So the only ones who legitimately operating are people who are exercising or entertaining treaty and constitution enforcement. So Noble Drawley said to the Moors when he established the old Canaanite temple in 1913, he says, "Help me in my great missionary work to bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States of America." And what he know, as soon as you did some research, you would see that they had modified and altered it and have a private operation, or what they call a second constitution of the United States, which is the fraud and the de facto. But he said to you also that the half has not been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep. But once you find out the fraud, those who are sincere would be honorable enough to restore and activate the existing legitimate courts, and logically that would be the jurisdiction of the Moorish nation, etc. And he says, where is the Moorish Empire? Northwest of Mexico. There you go in your question.
If you all are having problem with the link as I put it up, I just put it up, just text 827 to 302-345-0500 and I'll send you the link if you want to get a ticket for our close and personal. We have about 40 some tickets remaining. So you want to do that sooner than later. Let me see.
And keep in mind, remember we talked to Dr. Naila, and we talked actually, in the area of 7 years back on up, and we was mentioning it every once in a while when the people start doing trusts, etc., or even going in that direction, it would kill the bonds, it would kill the straw man that everybody keeps trying to capture, which they will never allow you to do. But what it does, it kills the bond system. And so it doesn't matter how many straw instruments they start creating, they can't sell them because nations are not buying them. That's how you capture the straw man, you choke it.
And all you have to do is go into these stores and these especially even these big box stores and so forth, and see how they are tied to this overarching corporation, because everybody is moving stuff around to make it look like they still have stock and so forth, when everything is being depleted and not restocked because they can't get it.
As an example, we had a conversation a week or so ago or more, and with problems that we had with finance that you put out a lot. And what did I say to you? I said, they're not going to tell you, but they have a supply issue. What did they tell you when you went there?
They're having an issue with supply.
Because I already knew what was happening. And I've been telling people for the last few years that they're going to stop buying U.S. Treasury bonds and stop accepting the private commercial paper of the Jesuit order, which you've been calling the Federal Reserve note, which is not money. Therefore, they're going to have supply issues all around the planet. What's going on right now is Mr. T is negotiating, because remember, they're defunct. They have defaulted on all of those bonds that we've been telling you for the last 7 years was going to happen. And so all of them are going to have supply issues. And so again, this goes again why they want to do the V thing, to put the people to sleep and control their minds and then kill off some of these people. Because they already know that they've been putting people who have what you call Social Security age and people. Now, I've been telling you all for 15 years, 401ks are going to be 409ks. I've been telling you for years. Well, guess what? There are 409ks in all of the orders. That's the fact. The deal of it is, a lot of the stuff that they're doing now is to cover up the fact that all of the institutions have failed. They have collapsed. And so they're keeping the people preoccupied with fear, and one V after another V, or another V after another V, and another version of the V after the other V, to cover up the fact so that you don't go to these people that you've been calling your priests and your politicians and physically choke them for what they have actually done. They're diverting your attention off of themselves. That's the real truth. And they were putting people in nursing homes to kill them off so that they would not have to meet the obligations of their both pensions and retirements, which they're obligated to because they've stolen it all already. And guess what? The Greys didn't do that. These people that you've been calling congressmen and congresswomen have done this to you. And they're not your congressmen and they're not your congresswomen. They are private board of director operatives for the Jesuit order and members of the Roman Curia and members of the Circle Church and Chancery, which we've been telling you for years. And all of these attacks are diversions so that you don't look at who the real problem has been and is and are. And backed up by people you've been calling preachers and pastors. And all of them been doing human trafficking. Don't you ever think it hasn't been that. And when you find out some more stuff, you're going to find out shortly, most of them people are going to go into hiding. Even some of the ones that you trusted.
Here's a question from Turtle Hustle. There has been several spiritual masters from the East who have been coming to America since the late 1800s, but they teach more hybrid Europeans than Moors in America. Why is that?
Keep in mind, the Moors in America have been the farthest away from their law and culture. And we have, not that they haven't come to us, but we have been rejecting it, following after idol gods of Rome that we knew nothing of. It's not that they haven't come to you, you haven't listened.
Okay.
In other words, you've been hard-hearted and rebellious, and you are the direct heirs. And you've been claiming names and principles that delude to forced servitude and connotative slavery, and then wanting to charge the world with it. Well, guess what? When you dishonor your mothers and your fathers, in law, all over the planet, you have no right of inheritance. That's a choice. Yeah. And you can't say that men didn't come here and tell these people that they're not Negro, Black, or colored, because that is the fact, the case. As a matter of fact, the only organization that was set up actually in contemporary times to address that absolutely directly is the Moorish Divine and National Movement. And look how much negative misrepresentation has been hoisted upon Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which was put in place to actually directly address that issue. So it's not that they haven't come, many have not listened. So by your free will, you get what you reap. You're reaping what you've been sowing. So don't feel sorry for it. That's why over the years, Dr. Naila, you hear me always say, when people come to this information, don't start playing victim and don't start feeling sorry for yourselves, because we're not innocent in this.
That's true. I was trying to find this question to put it up. I know it was Jasmine Miller. I saw it. But the question was whether or not, because she's in the UK, whether or not they can buy a ticket for the 27th and log in. Unfortunately, like the revolution, this is not going to be televised. We call this up close and personal because we feel that this is an opportunity for us to be completely open and honest and in an environment
without interference
or without, because we know when we're on this kind of a platform, we're speaking to everybody and anybody. And you can put any picture up that looks like you're a Moor. So this is actually not going to be televised, although it will be recorded. We will determine how we want to make and if we're going to make it available to those who were not able to come in person, but it will not be live streamed, unfortunately. So just to answer anyone else's question besides Jasmine's. Let me see. Any more questions? Okay. There was a question about you addressing the door to. I think you did mention it. The door-to-door V campaign. You have kind of mentioned it.
Those are members of the Roman Curia, some of which are not necessarily just on that side of courier operations. Some of them were actually replaced there to actually as what you call double agents to actually undermine the operations of the dark priesthood and the synagogue of Satan, which is absolutely entrenched in what is known as the Democratic Party, also in the fake Republican Party known as rhinos. So keep in mind, you actually observe because you have many of them who are sleepers are actually on both sides. So this again, why you have to be spiritually astute and pay attention and don't necessarily take sides, but observe because this all this much of what's going on now is for your observation. It's for heavy learning because, as we said a couple of years ago, things are going to be accelerating so fast that most of the people, when they start recognizing what's really been going on, if they don't have a strong constitution, they will actually crack up. And that's not an understatement. And that's true. Things will be exposed to you that are very so traumatic and so ugly that one of the things that many of us have to do is learn to succor each other or to help each other to handle what's coming forth. So it's not just the surface politics as you see it. Keep in mind there's uglier, larger, what you might call clock of destiny going on by measurements, cycle measurement that most of us aren't used to dealing with. Some people who are adeptus at this know that placement, cycle placement, are looking at from another dimensional perspective that until people get to a certain level of comprehension, that it would almost be not a waste of time to tell them, but actually it'd be a distraction. So what we try to do is get people to start respecting their intuitive mind so that some more things can be said. However, we're already not coming to, but we're already at a point of exposure that a lot of people will not be able to handle the information that you're going to be smashed with. And I say that just like that, smashed with.
Yeah, it's ugly. A lot of it's ugly.
Not, you know, when I wrote that poem in Moore's Define, lesson book number 1, and I talk about the God sellers, the God sellers are going to be in trouble. Because you're going to find a lot of people that have been running around talking about gods are actually the absolute opposite. And so when you're talking about the board of directors, and this is fact that people need to know, that from a specific and documented position, the persons who you're calling the Congress and the Senate for the United States are all, bar none, members of the Roman Curia and are on the board of directors for the Rothschild, which means Red Shield, and that's just the front, because that not even who it is. And the operations for the synagogue of Satan, who have been ruling Midgard for quite some this last millennia, let's put it that way. And the anthropomorphic perception that you know as Jesus, look at it anthropomorphically, has already been on the path of restoration of that which is correct and right. Whether you use the name Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc., you're really talking about an energy spirit that is really the same. That energy has already been here and is already operating now on another level, dimensional level, to defeat the dark priesthood. And so your politics is a lower level reflection of that. Know that that is the truth.
I'm gonna we're almost some of the things that some people are interested in are things that are going to be addressed over on my new channel, because everybody doesn't want to hear about the metaphysical or the galactic and all that, even though we all need to know, because it's going to be more and more apparent as time goes by in the very near future.
You're not even going to.
They're going to need to know.
You're not even
It's
going
gonna
to
be
be
on
going,
you.
put it this way, you're not even going to be going into maybe what you might call another, you know how people looking at 222, 223, you won't get past that before much of what we've been telling you for years will be smashing you in your face.
Well,
So it's sort of like it's um things will be accelerating and happening and taking place so fast. Some things have been slowed down only in the nature of having compassion for humanity, not necessarily to hide things from you, but actually to protect your mental. Because one of the things that some who are trying to do good are trying to protect your consciousness, which is under attack. Because your consciousness, if it goes negative, you'll start manifesting for the dark priesthood, which we've been doing with our adopted belief systems, thinking that we were helping that which is divine, which has much to do with the condition that exists here at Midgard, which we're trying to help reverse.
So I want you to subscribe. Go to YouTube and put in a search. Dr. G is official. Now it's gonna pop up. Darius is official. No, you want Dr. G is official. I only need. There's like over 1,000 of you on here right now. I only need 140 more subscribers to get to 1,000. And I appreciate that because I haven't even put any live content on there. So 800 and whatever, 60 of you have already subscribed. 140 of you, 1,083 that I see right now can go over to YouTube, to Dr. G is official, and subscribe so that those of you who want the esoteric information will be able to get that apart from this channel, which is more concerned with more science and so forth. But direct civics,
more,
but metaphysics, the esoteric is more science. You need to know that.
it is.
It's very important that you know that. It's very important that you get back to your divine self, your divine mind, your divine abilities, because a lot of the things that you are belly aching about and wanting somebody else to do, you wouldn't have to have that type of experience because you'd be able to manifest the outcomes yourself.
Physician, heal thyself.
So go over there, 140 of you.
Remember, we're promoting responsibility.
So,
we're not promoting followership. We're promoting self-responsibility.
Here's a question here, and I thought this was where did it go? Somebody asked if, and forgive me if I didn't actually pull up your question, but I remember what it was. They asked if the here it is. DJ, come to pull it up. Is the IRS still operating? I still haven't gotten my refund, and I filed it on March 15th. That is ridiculous. Somebody else told me the same thing today.
The IRS is being dismantled, and by technical legal process is non-operative. However, some of the paid agents within that program operations of the Roman Curia have been moved to the Treasury Department for the United States, and this is to repurpose some of their activities, and some of them are being removed altogether on multiple levels. And the real deal of it is some of the fines in violation that have taken place apply to those who, and many who have been violating human rights and international law. Their resources are being confiscated to refund operations of a appearance of legitimate government operating under constitutional principles, i.e., and that platform is what Mr. T represents. Whether or not those manifests will come to be is for you to see. However, that is part of the battle that's going on in the background. So to put it in just straightforward to you, the IRS is being dissolved.
Hi. Yeah, you get.
And if some of you will notice that many of you have probably been notified that your credit cards aren't working, which I told you 7 or 8 years ago would start happening.
Yeah, they're shutting down a lot.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. They've been trying to hide it, but it's like everything is breaking. Every institutional platform is breaking, and this is again why they've been so hostile to anyone who exposes truth, because the deal of it is they don't want you to look at them, because a lot of people you've been calling government is really your demons, and they ain't gray either.
And if you think that person, that Mr. B, is the same Mr. B that was at my graduation 40-some years ago, that's not him. Trust and believe.
You know, without going into it really deep, you got projections, you got clones, you got CGI, etc.
We watched today some news on YouTube, and the people, I guess it was from a few days ago, but the correspondent said over to these two individuals who were in Washington, supposedly in DC, in the DC area, for I think there was the lawyer that was being arraigned or something. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And it was obvious. They had a video playing in the background, and they were green screened. I mean, everything that we see
CGI
is like a big psyop movie that's being projected in front of us as real. And I don't know how many people are falling for this stuff now. I mean, you could just tell now things that we took for granted were real in the past. Now it's like the eyes of our understanding being enlightened.
If you notice that that all around the world, in different nation, state territories, you're having massive flooding and storms that are not harmonic with the seasons. Those are diversions too.
Yeah, so much.
But again, remember we told you years ago, we said, time's going to come, you're going to be putting those credit cards in the machines, and the machine's going to go burp. Well, it's happening already, and you will see it accelerating. For those of you who doubt what I say, start doing some research on Wells Fargo and that other HBC game, and you're going to start happening at Chase, and then it's going to start accelerating. So we told you years ago to take your fiat out of them banks.
Get you some
Don't keep
silver.
any more in there than you need to keep those accounts operating while transition is being made. Because what they're going to do, they're going to bail in to save themselves, and they will sacrifice you to do so. This is again why we've been telling you for years to start getting silver. Now, not that, because that's the money. Not that you wouldn't get gold. It's just that when you get gold, you're not going to be transferring your everyday affairs in gold. That would be your backup. Not only that, the silver is going to jump far higher than you could ever imagine.
And you're going to be able to get some gold with a few pieces of silver.
Yeah. Keep in mind, silver has more industrial uses and also medical uses than gold does.
Absolutely.
But keep in mind what we've been telling you for years, cosmologically, gold is the alchemical metal for the sun. Copper is the alchemical metal for Venus. Silver is the alchemical metal for the moon. And so the moon economy on the earth, controlling the blood flow and the movement of the waters, is where you get moon-y or eco in agriculture from, in its dynamics. And so that is the money. And therefore, in the constitution of the principles of the Asiatic nation, gold and silver coin is the only thing that's used universally as a general rule in contractual agreement for the satisfying of debts. So it cannot be paid without gold and silver coin until such time, and this is after thousands and thousands and thousands of years, that we have changed that process. And we have not changed that constitution of operations on Midgard. And therefore, they give you something else and tell you it's money. They're lying to you. Therefore, credit is not money. Federal Reserve notes are not money. And you've not been allowed to handle money for years. Keep that in mind, not to divert you from the subject matters that we're talking about at the moment.
Mercy and Freeman, your question about what's meant by a gray, I think somebody else responded, but yes, grays are ETs or alien beings.
Not new.
Nope, been around. Some say that they're not even
And that's
biological.
A loose name. That's a loose name. You got that right. Some of them, yes, a few of them are.
Some of, so I said some
a lot
are,
are actually biological robots.
Right, that's what I mean.
You got that right. Many of them are simply, they don't have what the soul that you talk about. They take orders. You might call it biological AI with some of them. But again, like I said before, I don't divert people to that because many people aren't what you would call in the frame of mind to handle that. And we have a tendency to keep getting diverted from things that you need to address in front of you. You know, it's sort of like you've heard me always say, why have a discussion with people what's on the dark side of the moon when they can't get across town without getting profiled? So I more or less try to deal with mundane things, down to earth things that help people take responsibility to solve a lot of our problems here in Midgard, so you can prepare for other things. It's sort of like the principle of how dare you claim to love God you do not see, and love not your brothers and sisters whom you see by the day. Again, my position has always been, why discuss the dark side of the moon when we don't even know the principles of this firmament that we know as Midgard or Earth, when most people don't even know that this particular Earth is Midgard. So why are we going to discuss things that are beyond us? My issue is, let's start solving some of the problems before us, meaning that let's start eating the plate of dinner that's before us before we start arguing about dessert. Not that dessert is not relevant.
I see a couple of, as we get ready to, I'm not going to miss this opportunity to, particularly since I know this is real. There's several questions, or a couple of questions, not several. Turtle Hustle says, how does stacking gold and silver protect us during this economic meltdown?
It doesn't. That concept is also misrepresentative.
Right. And somebody else said it was hard to get silver here. I don't know where here is.
Of course it is.
I'm running at the bottom of the page. If you are in the U.S., if you're in the U.K. jurisdiction, some of these, you can get the silver for as little as 35 notes an ounce, a coin per coin.
And remember, a few months ago it was what, 23?
23. I was so glad that I got 100 plus 200 ounces at 23. That went up $11 an ounce. So if you see that, www.getpaidmore.com, go visit that site. You can get silver as a preferred customer,
and
or you can get silver as a wealth ambassador and